Our story begins in the bustling Central High School gymnasium, where the school assembly is in full swing. The students are rowdy, excited, and filled with anticipation. Meanwhile, in the nearby locker room, Robbie Weirdicht, an overweight and socially awkward teenager, is in his own world, dancing to his favorite 90s hit song. For Robbie, this is a rare moment of unfiltered joy, a moment where he feels free. But his joy is short-lived. A group of bullies burst into the locker room, catching Robbie mid-dance. They seize him, mock him, and drag him, completely naked, into the packed gymnasium. The students erupt into laughter, their jeers echoing through the space. Robbie is paralyzed with humiliation, standing in front of his peers as tears well in his eyes. Amid the chaos, Joyner, the school star athlete and most popular student, watches in shock. While most students join in the laughter, Kelvin hesitates. Then, in a rare act of kindness, he removes his varsity jacket and drapes it over Robbie, shielding him from further embarrassment. Though Kelvin's gesture doesn't silence the crowd, it leaves a profound impact on Robbie, who whispers a quiet, "Thank you." That moment becomes a turning point for Robbie, a spark of hope in a sea of cruelty. Deep down, he vows to transform himself into someone powerful, confident, and unbreakable. 20 years later, Kelvin's life has taken a less glamorous turn. Once known as the Golden Jet, the high school hero now works as a mild-mannered accountant. Married to his high school sweetheart, Maggie, Kelvin is stuck in a monotonous routine. He feels unfulfilled, often comparing himself to his more successful peers. One evening, while scrolling through social media, Kelvin receives a Facebook friend request from Bob Stone, a name he doesn't recognize. Curious, he accepts the request and is shocked to learn that Bob is actually Robbie Weirdicht, the boy he helped 2 decades ago. Bob enthusiastically invites Kelvin to meet him for drinks. Kelvin reluctantly agrees, and when they meet, he's stunned to see Bob's transformation. No longer the timid, overweight boy, Bob is now a towering, muscular man with unshakable confidence. As they catch up, Bob lavishes Kelvin with praise for his kindness back in high school, calling him a hero. Kelvin is flattered but confused by Bob's intense admiration. The evening takes a strange turn when Bob effortlessly takes down several bar thugs in a fight, leaving Kelvin speechless. The next morning, Kelvin's life takes a chaotic turn when CIA agents, led by the stern and intimidating Agent Harris, show up at his door. They accuse Bob of being a rogue agent who has stolen classified encryption codes capable of destabilizing global security. Kelvin denies any involvement, but the agents reveal that Bob listed him as his emergency contact. Terrified and confused, Kelvin tries to distance himself, but moments later, Bob reappears, pleading for Kelvin's help. Bob explains that he's been framed and that the real threat is a dangerous international criminal known as the Black Badger, who plans to sell the codes to the highest bidder. Bob claims he's the only one who can stop him, but needs Kelvin's accounting skills to track the money trail. Reluctantly, Kelvin gets roped into Bob's world. A chaotic mix of car chases, wild shootouts, and laughable attempts at espionage. Kelvin's ordinary life is turned upside down as he finds himself dodging bullets and questioning his decision-making. As their adventure unfolds, Kelvin begins to question Bob's sanity and motives. Bob's erratic behavior, paired with the CIA's warnings, makes Kelvin suspect that Bob might actually be the Black Badger. Desperate for answers, Kelvin secretly contacts Agent Harris and agrees to help the CIA capture Bob. During a tense sting operation, both Bob and Kelvin are taken into custody. Feeling betrayed, Bob opens up to Kelvin, revealing the depth of his pain from years of bullying and the loneliness that followed. Despite his anger, Bob refuses to hold a grudge against Kelvin, insisting that he only wanted to protect the world from the real threat. Moved by Bob's sincerity, Kelvin decides to trust him. In a daring escape, Bob and Kelvin break free from the CIA's custody and set out to uncover the truth. Their investigation leads them to Stanton, Bob's former CIA partner, who faked his death to become the Black Badger. Stanton's betrayal serves as the final piece of the puzzle, proving Bob's innocence. The climactic confrontation takes place in a sprawling underground parking garage, where Stanton plans to complete the sale of the encryption codes. Bob and Kelvin team up to stop him, combining Bob's combat skills with Kelvin's quick thinking. The action is intense and chaotic. Kelvin, trying to relive his high school glory, attempts his signature golden jet flip to take down a henchman. The move fails hilariously, but the distraction gives Bob the upper hand to defeat Stanton in hand-to-hand combat. With the code secured and Stanton apprehended, the threat is neutralized. Agent Harris arrives, reluctantly commending Kelvin and Bob for their efforts, but warning them to steer clear of CIA business in the future. In the aftermath, Bob convinces Kelvin to attend their high school reunion. Kelvin, feeling reinvigorated by the adventure, agrees. At the reunion, Kelvin reconnects with Maggie, who expresses pride in his courage and newfound confidence. Meanwhile, Bob becomes the star of the event. In a twist of irony, he's crowned prom king, symbolizing his triumph over his painful past. During his acceptance speech, Bob shares a heartfelt message about resilience, self-acceptance, and the profound impact of small acts of kindness. The moment turns bittersweet when one of his old bullies, Trevor, attempts to mock him. This time, Bob doesn't hesitate. He knocks Trevor out with a single punch, earning cheers and laughter from the crowd. As the night winds down, Kelvin and Bob drive off together, their unlikely friendship solidified. Kelvin, inspired by Bob's courage and transformation, decides to take control of his own life, while Bob looks forward to a future unburdened by his past. The film ends with Kelvin back at work, feeling more confident and alive than ever. Bob, now a local hero, walks into the office with coffee and a grin. As the two share a laugh, a new adventure seems to be just around the corner.